Hello my Whoop friends. Let's take a look at the new Betafpv Air65 2 Champion Edition Race Whoop. Let's take a look what's inside of this little box. Some information, some spare propellers, the new Champion 1207 3-blade propellers, some spare parts and a USB adapter, spare screws, spare grommets, motor screws, a spare canopy and the Whoop Air65 brushless Whoop, Air65 2 brushless Whoop in the Champion Edition. Let's take a look at the weight of the new Betafpv Air65 Champion Edition Whoop. 16.5 grams, which is a little bit lighter than previous Whoops from Betafpv. They come in at around 17 grams. The canopy, the Air 2 canopy, is 0.5 grams. And the propellers, new Champion 1207 propellers are 0.57 grams. The Air 2 Champion Edition Whoop frame is a new, very lightweight Whoop frame from Betafpv. I think the Betafpv Air 2 Champion Edition Whoop frame is the lightest Whoop frame on the market right now. Lighter than the Betafpv Air 2 Standard Edition Whoop frame and even lighter than the NewBeeDrone Light AF frame. You might ask yourself now, but what is new on the Air65 Champion Edition Whoop? And I can tell you it's pretty much everything. The propellers are new, the motors are new, the motor shaft length is new, the frame is new, the canopy is new, the flight controller itself is new, the VTX antenna is new. It's pretty much everything. Even the motor screws are new. The propellers are Champion 1207 low pitch propellers for high kV motors. The new Champion Edition 0702 36,000 kV motors are now built with better materials according to Betafpv. And they do have a shorter motor shaft, which is very nice to see, as well as double ball bearings. You can see it here. Ball bearing on the top and ball bearing on the bottom. And some very, very tiny E-clips. The magnets on the motors are outwards curved, which is a little bit strange to me, why Betafpv went back from those inward curved magnets to those magnets, but I think it's probably for a reason. The VTX antenna is a monopole antenna, I guess. I'm not sure. It appears like a monopole antenna. Maybe not. At some point I need to cut off this shrink tubing and see what's inside. But I think it's a monopole antenna. The new flight controller on the Air65 2 Champion Edition now features some 12 amp ESCs, which in my opinion is the only way to go with high kV motors, and I'm very happy to see that. And it has a 3-point mounting system with no rubber grommet in the front, as you can see here, which should provide more protection in a crash if the camera hits the flight controller. If you need more information about this tiny whoop or about the new Air65 2 tiny whoop, then you can watch my video on the topic, which I already published a few days ago, or you can ask me in the comments. A little addition to my last video about the new modern 65mm whoop frames. I forgot to mention that the frame height of the Air65 2 Champion Edition whoop frame is smaller than the standard edition whoop frame, as you can see here. And for those who are new in the hobby, if you want to connect your drone with a computer, you need this in the package provided adapter from Betafpv to connect your computer to the drone, or to connect your whoop to the computer. Like this. And now you can connect your USB-C cable with the drone. A little tip: if you buy this whoop, always use some hot air to preform your canopy, your Air 2 canopy, because otherwise your standoff will look like this. As you can see, it is already weakened because of the pressure of the canopy.
Which version you should buy, Champion, Racing, or Freestyle? The first important thing you need to know is that only the Champion edition of the Air65 2 and Air75 2 whoops has directly soldered motors. That means if you want to fly with directly soldered motors and are not willing to remove the motor plugs yourself, then the Champion edition is the right choice for you. And if you absolutely want motor plugs on your tiny whoop, then the Freestyle or Racing edition is the right choice for you. If you want to fly with motor plugs and still want the best possible performance, then I recommend using a contact enhancer. It probably doesn't matter which one you use. For example, you can use Stabilant 22 from DW Electrochemicals Lilly, which is very economical when diluted and has a fascinating way of working. Or you can use Deox IT from Kaig Laboratories Inc., which is available in different sizes and for different applications. Or you can use NPS Encore from contactenhancer.com, which according to the manufacturer is based on a completely new and unique nanotechnology. probably any other contact enhancer will also work to some degree to slightly improve performance, or rather reduce the electrical resistance of the plugs and especially improve the corrosion resistance of the motor plugs to prevent or delay so-called contact corrosion. The second important thing you need to know is that only the Champion edition of the Air65 II and Air75 II whoops has double ball bearing motors. So if long motor lifespan is important to you and a priority, then the Champion edition is the right choice for you. The third important thing is power. From my experience, I can say that all three editions have enough power for all flight maneuvers. In general, you can say that more kV provides more power, and less kFi provides slightly less power but more efficiency and therefore more flight time. That brings us straight to the last important point, flight time. It gets a bit more complicated here. You might be wondering why the Champion edition still achieves such a good hover flight time. On the one hand, it's because the Champion edition is slightly lighter due to the missing motor plugs and the lighter monopole VTX antenna, which of course has slightly worse reception, and because directly soldered motors are more efficient. That means if all three editions had the same weight and directly soldered motors, then definitely the version with the lowest kV motors would always be the most efficient and would fly the longest. I won't go into detail about the different VTX antennas and propellers, since these are accessories that can be swapped out quickly and do not significantly define the addition of the whoop. After this video, you should now definitely know whether the Air65 II or the Air75 II is the right tiny whoop for you, and whether the Champion, Racing, or Freestyle edition fits you better. Then, the only remaining question is which Lipo battery you want to buy for your tiny whoop. There are different sizes here as well. And because the new Lava 2 Lipos have such a high C rate, which I showed you in the static thrust test in my last video, you can now even use the Lava 2 320 mAh 95C and the Lava 2 280 mAh 95C Lipos for the Air75 II whoop. Deciding which battery to buy is not easy, but it's not difficult either. Basically, you can say that the smaller the battery, the lower the total weight, or takeoff weight, and the lighter and floatier the tiny whoop feels in the air due to the reduced disk load. But smaller LiPo batteries also have a higher internal resistance, which means they cannot deliver high currents as quickly, which in turn slightly dampens the responsiveness of the motors and changes the control feel a little. That means if maximum responsiveness and a very direct control feel are important to you, then you should choose medium or larger LiPo batteries. The same applies if you are still a beginner and want slightly easier throttle control, especially indoors in tight spaces. Then the larger mass of a medium or larger LiPo gives you a bit more inertia, which can help you control altitude better. However, you can also improve throttle control through software changes, such as adding some throttle expo and throttle mid in Betaflight. This way you can achieve similar flight behavior, even with a small, light LiPo. As you can see, there are different solutions, and a lot of it comes down to personal preference and getting used to it. For pilots who want to fly freestyle and prefer a bit more momentum or more hang time, a medium or larger LiPo battery is of course advantageous due to the increased mass and therefore higher kinetic energy. Regarding flight time, it is generally true that a larger LiPo battery provides more flight time, but not always to the extent you might expect, because flight time does not change proportionally to battery size. On top of that, for intermediate and pro pilots, it's no longer just about hover flight time, but the effectively usable flight time during which flying the tiny whoop still feels good. And also, the battery capacity ratings from manufacturers are often not completely accurate. In summary, I can say that larger LiPo batteries are better for you if you are a beginner and long hover flight time is very important and your absolute priority. If you are an intermediate pilot who wants maximum flight time but still flies relatively relaxed and crashes little, then roughly the same applies. Medium-sized LiPos might also be suitable for you. For pro pilots, it gets a bit more complicated and becomes more a matter of personal preference. Often, medium LiPo sizes are the best compromise for pro pilots, and the very small and very large ones are for special use cases, such as very small and tight racetracks or very large and wide racetracks. That means in the case of the Air65 2 whoop, a 300 to 320 mAh LiPo is the standard, and a 260 to 280 mAh LiPo is more for special applications. And for the Air65 2 whoop, a 450-480 mAh LiPo is the standard, and a 580 to 680 mAh LiPo, as well as a 300 to 320 mAh LiPo or a 260 to 280 mAh LiPo are for special applications and priorities. If the durability of your tiny whoop is your top priority, then you should choose the smallest possible battery size, and slightly larger if you also want other characteristics. But if durability really is your highest priority, then the smallest LiPo battery is definitely the best for you. The smaller the battery, the lower the total weight, and the lower the possible kinetic energy. Important for the durability of the LiPo battery, especially with small long LiPos like the Lava 2 320 mAh or large long ones like the Lava 2 580 or 680 mAh, is that you use a LiPo condom, a protective cap made of heat shrink tubing or something similar that you slide over the front end of the LiPo. As you can see, choosing the right LiPo is always a compromise as well. There is no LiPo that does everything perfectly, but there is the right LiPo for a specific use case or a specific priority, and I think now, after this video, you know what your priority is. If this video helped you decide which whoop to buy from Betafpv, I would appreciate it if you use the affiliate link in the video description for your order and for future orders. And if you would like to support my work further, I would appreciate a small donation on Ko-fi.com. The link is also in the video description. Thank you very much for your support, my whoop friends.
Telemetry lost.
my purchase recommendation for accessories is the following. If you buy an Air65 II or Air75 II, I would definitely recommend ordering Lava 2 Lipos along with it, and a Hexacharger Pro if you don't already have a charger and a USB-C input is okay for you. I would also recommend buying at least one spare frame and several Air 2 spare canopies since they are rather fragile. And I would also highly recommend buying the Peak motor screws from Betafpv. The Peak motor screws are very light and durable as well as self-locking. I haven't lost any of these Peak screws yet. In very hard crashes they can break, but that also happens only rarely. I would still order replacements, and I would order several sets of propellers as well. If this video helped you decide which whoop to buy from Betafpv, I would appreciate it if you use the affiliate link in the video description for your order and for future orders. And if you would like to support my work further, I would appreciate a small donation on Ko-fi.com. The link is also in the video description. Thank you very much for your support, my whoop friends.
Some additional information can be found in the video description. Please watch my many other tutorials on this YouTube channel if you want to know more about how to modify a tiny whoop or how to learn FPV flying and racing.